force protection. This is an issue which, unfortunately, in India, do not give much thought to. Or rather, I should say that we are concerned with the protection of our bases, our forces from terrorist attacks, from asymmetrical enemy, but we do not have a comprehensive doctrine, a comprehensive set of tactics, techniques, and procedures, a comprehensive setup of intelligence and counter-int techniques or random measures to protect our forces from the enemy's sporadic attacks, attacks intended to give the enemy an advantage, a decisive advantage, as the enemy is far weaker than us. We are far strong. So this is a case of asymmetric warfare, and the enemy seeks to get an asymmetric advantage by demoralizing our troops, the government, our forces, by attacking our bases, killing our officers, reducing our efficiency. Force protection should be the mainstay of any superior force. We must first defend ourselves adequately and fully. It is only then can we garner all our resources and go in for an attack. What we do is we focus primarily on moving out, projecting our forces for an attack, and we pay, I'm not saying lip service to protection. We have the watchtowers in place, we have the sentries in place, the guards in place, the gates are secure, but these are routine SOP of force protection which we are following, which the enemy has studied, the pattern, the movement patterns, the vehicular patterns, the itinerary of the officers, the soldiers. He can predict and then attack when he wants to attack. We need to do a lot of things to induce force protection. Force protection is something which I should say should be the prime objective of any commander. I'm not saying to negate the prime objective of the commander to know the intent of the enemy. It is always the primary requirement of the commander to know the intent of the enemy so that he is not surprised. But then, when you want to know the intent of the enemy, it also becomes a force protection problem. Because the intent of the enemy is to attack our bases, attack our defensive structures, attack us when we are in a defensive position, to degrade our capabilities. So force protection is an issue. Otherwise, we will face cases like Pathankot, like the two COs who were killed. The two COs belong to the Rajarif in Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir. The 72 CRPF personnel killed elsewhere, and all the sporadic attacks on CRPF personnel by the Naxalites and by the Maoists when they are not in an attack formation, or when they are in rest, or when they are in the bases. The innumerable examples of force protection issues throughout the world. The American bases have been attacked by terrorists when they are unprepared. Force protection should be a major objective of the commander. The Foreign Intelligence Service conducts intelligence collection about our forces and hostile attack. Here comes a very important concept of the thing I'm saying, force protection. These enemies target defense, personnel, resources, activities, and critical information. Counter-int support to force protection involves actions to prevent or mitigate hostile actions against these entities. It should be noted that the military police functions are not adequate to cover the security of these entities. CI support is a must in a deployable situation. The enemy targets the vulnerable rear positions and the support elements. Hence, security is beefed up, where troops are housed, dependents and other personnel are made aware of the threat, and this is where the CI elements active. We need counter-int. We need counter-int, we need human, we need passive human, we need active human, but overall we need counter-int. We cannot really get counter-int to the backbench. I mean, we just cannot use counter-int just as a supplement for human or for any other int discipline. Counter-int in itself is a very, very, very powerful discipline. It is confusing. One might say it is not an intel discipline. One might say it is an intel discipline. Well, the argument's always there, but this is not the time to argue. We need counter-int. We need people to send out from our bases down to communities in the civil areas to mix with them, to create informant networks. We need to know from the police authorities, from the politicians, from the nexus of the criminals and the police nexus. We need to know who's coming in, who's going out in the community surrounding the bases. We should not focus ourselves only in the rear areas in the terms of war or in a battle, or when we are focusing only on the installation and its security, and we are not concerned with what's going on outside. Take the case of Fort William. We are not concerned at all what's going on outside in Kitapur, in Iqbalpur, in Momanpur, in Fancy Market area. We are concerned with security of the George Gate, East Gate, South Gate. I have myself submitted a plan where I have located the vulnerability of the South Gate and the FIS, Foreign Intelligence Service target is the ECCIU, Eastern Command Counter-Int Unit, just near South Gate. And very recently there was an attack. No, sorry. There was an incident on the Red Road. Air Force personnel was killed. Well, it can be a case of normal accident. It can be a case of attempted surveillance by a terrorist group. It was a dry run. You could ever say. It was a dry run by a terrorist group who used that car to make 1 or 2, 3 runs in front of the South Gate to know the guard patterns and everything. We never know what happened that day. The point is, we should focus beyond our installation. We should project our int assets beyond our installations into the communities around it. We should liaise with the police, with the government officials. We should create a separate Force Protection Int Unit, FPIU, Force Protection Int Unit, which will conduct int activities and counter-int activities to know any new strangers in the area, to know any new developments in the area, to keep a tab on the open source intelligence information feeds. That is what local meetings are being held. Don't forget that in the Shahid Minar near Fort William, there was a Jamaat meeting of the people supporting the accused who were arrested by the NIA elsewhere in West Bengal on charges of keeping bombs. There was a case of bomb explosions, a series of bomb explosions which was discovered, and the NIA was involved, and these people were accused and arrested. And before they were in judicial custody. But there was a protest in Shahid Minar by a huge a huge mass of Muslims in just nearby Fort William. These are open source news, the newspapers, the radios, everything. They tell us what's going on in the city, who is coming, who is going. These things, whatever developments happen in the city and elsewhere, and in areas in close proximity to the camp, to Fort William, we can know what's going on, what the elements coming in. And these are force protection issues. They might be force protection issues. They might hint at some untoward development happening near the military areas, or maybe a direct open attack inside the military area. Force protection is something we should be concerned with. The military police is not sufficient. The military police is not sufficient, I repeat, not sufficient to prevent any enemy attack. We need a proper mixture of military admixture of military police personnel, of civil affairs personnel, of counter-int personnel, human personnel, all in one go, all in one small unit with human and CI elements in the fore, so that we can interact with the local administration, with the police authorities, with the politicians, with the local clubs, with the informal network, to know, to get a situation, to a situational awareness of the entire area beyond the perimeter of the installation, beyond the perimeter of Fort William, beyond the perimeter of the base in Kashmir, beyond the perimeter of the Lucknow Air Force Base. I noted that the Air Force base is quite small near the airport. They have kept the aviation fuel tanks close, very, very, very close to a fence, the boundary fence. So these things can be blown out. They can be easily blown up if a grenade is lobbed over there, or any other improvised explosive device. It will blow up the entire damn thing, and the base is gone. So this is a force protection problem. I don't know how they ignored this point, and they have housed two big, medium to medium tanks of aviation fuel right near the boundary. So these things are something we should be considered. In part one, I'm just giving a simple introduction. The military police and allied elements take stock of the situation in the army area, but are less aware of the ground situation outside the fence. Hence, recourse is made to establish contact with civil intelligence agencies and local police for updates on any threat intelligence in the proximity of the base. Moreover, the military police have no jurisdiction outside the base, mind you. That's the police work, and that is where we need their help. We definitely need their help. Strengthening the physical defenses is one way to prevent the application of hostile intent, but what is more important is enemy pre-operational surveillance activities. The difficulty is that these activities are innocuous. We don't know what happened that day during the day this car accident which killed the Air Force personnel, whether it was pre-operational surveillance of the terrorist, or whether it was a simple hit and run case. Let's take an example to illustrate the point. A vehicle approaches the gate of a military camp. On being questioned by the guard on duty, the driver says he had no intention to turn up there. He has made a wrong appearance at the wrong time. He's not supposed to be there. He says, yes, I'm not supposed to be here, but it was the mistake. I had no intention to come to military camp. I got here by mistake. Now, this is an acceptable excuse by the military police, mind you, and further interrogation may not help. Now, what he has said will not make the military police search as a vehicle or this thing. They have no grounds to do this. We live in a democratic country. We need something in hand, some proof, evidence to, further prosecute the individual and to and search him. The driver is instructed to leave the area. Fine. It is equally possible he is saying the truth, but consider a situation where the threat index in the area is high, and hence, from the force protection perspective, the driver, who can equally well be an insurgent or a terrorist has just conducted successfully a pre-operational surveillance. Now, what did I say? The Force Protection Index in the area, the FP index area, or I can say the threat index in the area. The threat index in the area is high, means we have been amassing information from all angles, the civil, the police, the administration, using our int and our counter int assets. And we have created an index in that area. Say, I mean, a red for very severe, orange for medium and quite severe, but medium, and say a yellow for less severe, and say green for below minimum threat levels. So if threat levels which we keep a tab on in that area, say the area encompasses Fort William, Iqbalpur, Esplanade, Dalhousie, Momentpur, up to Fancy Market, down to Command Hospital. This area you can create a threat index. Then if these index colors change as per input feeds which the int people get in, we can accordingly act, accordingly create a system of, heightened surveillance, or say less heightened surveillance. So these things we can keep a tab on the vehicular traffic, on the people in installations, or any incidents, and we can find out whether the incident was premeditated surveillance, or that was something abnormal happening. Now, there are options. The license details of the driver can be jotted down. Okay, fine. You are not here accidentally. Okay, I simply jot down the license details. The car details and license plate number can be taken. Offhand queries can be made. A listing can be made of all lost motorists, all lost people, of lost motorists. So all the drivers were lost who turn up accidentally, mind you, in these areas. I make a list of them. The information can be shared with the local police. If it is found out the same driver has turned up at other installations with the same theory, okay, fine. Here we have a point. Here you have a point. Well, we have a cause of pre-operational surveillance, and with the jotted information in hand, steps can be taken to apprehend the person. But still, the case is rare, as there are several instances of genuine lost car drivers, bike drivers, or motorists in general. Whatever, any installation together which constitutes personnel, their dependence, operations, and information is susceptible to hostile attack and intelligence collection, CI elements must shield the installation from such intent by guarding the rear and vulnerable areas, but also the entire dam installation in case if we are in peacetime. CI should lend support to mobilization security, major records repositories, anti and counterinsurgency operations, rear operations, psychological operations, battlefield deceptions, operational security, and counter SIGINT. All these in the case of wartime, and also the case of peacetime, all the related variables. We can categorize the threats based on intent. This can be incorporated in the force protection doctrine. Hence, we can allocate human resources in an appropriate manner without any duplication or wastage. Type 1 can be criminal activity geared towards army bases. Type 2 can be penetrative reconnaissance and sabotage operations, and type 3 can be major land, amphibious, air and missile attacks. Thus, commanders can tailor defensive actions compatible with the type of attack. The mission of counter-int can be clearly defined, objectives stated, and quantitative protocols in collection efforts underscored, keeping each type of attack in perspective and with the notion of counter-int as looking inwards. Mind you, human is looking outwards. Looking inwards in mind, we identify the critical areas of installations and implement security measures. That is the vulnerability analysis method, VAM. At the same time, we can launch aggressive counter-int operations to frustrate enemy intelligence collection efforts. So far in part 1. In part 2, I'll touch further on the force protection issue. Again, I'll define it. Again, I'll focus why we need force protection. In part 3, I'll detail on the techniques and procedures. And this way will continue until we get a reasonable, we can amass a reasonable information